Daniel Cruz's hands were shaking as he counted the bills scattered across the sidewalk. 20, 40, $50,000. 3 years of construction work flashed through his mind, the answer to every problem he had. The woman lay unconscious in front of him, her cream-colored dress stark against the cracked, grimy concrete of Back of the Yards, one of Chicago's oldest working-class neighborhoods. "Daddy, is she sleeping?" His daughter Lily's voice cut through the fog of temptation swirling in his head. She was 6 years old, and she was looking up at him with the same enormous eyes she'd inherited from her mother. Eyes that saw everything. Eyes that would judge him for the rest of his life. Daniel closed his fist around the money. The eviction notice was folded up in the pocket of his worn denim jacket. The empty prescription bottle for Lily's asthma medication sat in the other pocket, heavy as a stone. "No, sweetheart, she's sick." He knelt beside the woman. She was breathing, but shallow. Her pulse was faint under his calloused fingers. A designer handbag lay tipped over beside her, more cash spilling from its compartments. Nobody had seen them yet. It was early. They could just walk away.
"We should help her,"
Lily said, stepping closer. Her pink jacket too thin for the October chill. She needed a new one. She needed so many things. Daniel closed his eyes. In his mind he saw Grace, his late wife, on her hospital bed, holding his hand as the life drained out of her. Take care of our girl. Teach her to be good. What kind of lesson would this be? "Okay," he said, his voice cracking. "We're going to help her." He pulled his phone out. The screen was cracked down the middle and dialed 911 with trembling fingers. "What's your emergency?" the dispatcher asked. "There's a woman unconscious near Riverside Park. She doesn't look good. She's breathing, but she needs help fast." While he gave the address, he started gathering up the money. Every bill felt like a knife. Every single one represented food, medicine, rent, hope. He tucked it all back into the bag, with hands that wanted to rebel. "Daddy, there's more over here." Lily pointed at bills scattered under a parked car and bent down to grab them before Daniel could stop her. "Give that to me, baby." He took the cash from her small hand, $50 a week of groceries. He put it back with the rest. "Why does the lady have so much money?" Lily asked, tilting her head. "I don't know, honey, but it's not ours." "Mommy used to say we're supposed to help people, right, Daddy?" An invisible fist closed around his throat. Grace always knew what to say, how to be strong. 2 years without her, and he still hadn't figured out how to fill that hole. "Yeah, your mom was real wise." The ambulance siren cut through the morning air. Daniel stood setting the handbag down beside the woman, everything inside it down to the last dollar. The paramedics rushed over with a stretcher. "What happened?" one of them asked a young guy in a crisp uniform. "I don't know. We just found her like this." The paramedic glanced at the expensive purse, then at Daniel in his worn-out clothes, and at his daughter in her cheap little jacket. "Did you touch anything?" The accusation hung in the air unspoken. Daniel knew that look. Poor equals thief. "I picked her bag up off the ground," he said, keeping his voice steady. "Everything's in there. We're going to need your information for the report." Daniel gave his name, his address, his phone number. Every piece of information felt like a vulnerability. In this city, being a witness could be dangerous. Getting involved meant trouble, but there was no going back now. The paramedics lifted the woman onto the stretcher, her blonde hair spilled like a waterfall over the edge. Late 30s, Daniel guessed. About the age Grace would be now. "If you remember anything else, give us a call," the paramedic said, handing him a card before climbing into the ambulance. Daniel and Lily stood alone on the sidewalk as the ambulance pulled away. The empty space where the woman had been seemed to accuse him. "You could have changed everything. You could have saved us. You did the right thing, Daddy," Lily said, taking his hand, "like Mommy taught us." Daniel lifted her into his arms and buried his face in her hair. She smelled like cheap shampoo and cookies. "I love you, baby girl." "I love you too. Do we have money for dinner?" The simple question landed like a blade. Daniel checked his pockets. $11. Enough for rice and beans. Again. Yeah, princess, we always have enough. The lie tasted like ash in his mouth. They walked home to their apartment 40 minutes away because they didn't have bus fare. Lily chattered about school, about her teacher, about the drawing she'd made of her family. Daddy, me, and Mommy in heaven. Daniel nodded and smiled while his mind ran the numbers. 2 days until eviction. A week until Lily's inhaler medication ran out. 3 construction jobs lined up, none of which paid until the end of the month, and he had just left $50,000 sitting on the street. The apartment building rose in front of them, a gray, defeated giant. Peeling paint, a couple of broken windows on the second floor, that damp smell that never went away, but it was home. Daniel opened the door to Unit 304, 300 square feet, 1 bed they shared. An old stove, a leaky bathroom, the walls covered in Lily's drawings and 1 photo of Grace holding her newborn daughter. The eviction notice was taped to the wall above the table, bright red, impossible to ignore. Final notice, 48 hours to vacate or legal action will be taken. Lily went straight for her toys, while Daniel sank into the only chair they owned and put his head in his hands. He'd done the right thing, so why did he feel like the stupidest man alive? His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Mr. Cruz, the patient you helped today, is stable. Thank you for your assistance. If you'd like to speak with her, please reach out to this number. Daniel stared at the cracked screen for a long time. Then he deleted it. He didn't need to talk to her. He didn't need anything from people like that. But that night, as Lily coughed in her sleep, and he stared at the eviction notice in the moonlight, one question wouldn't let him go. How much honor can a man afford when his daughter can't breathe? Miranda opened her eyes, and the first thing out of her mouth was, "Where's my bag?" The nurse adjusted her IV with mechanical movements. "It's safe. The man who found you turned it in. Everything's accounted for." Miranda sat up too fast. The room spun. "I need to see it. Now." "Miss Sinclair, you just woke up. The doctor needs to—" "Now!" 5 minutes later, Miranda counted the contents with shaking hands, every bill in place, the flash drive hidden in the secret compartment untouched, the folded documents inside never opened. In this city, people killed for a lot less, and this man had returned everything. "Who was it?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Who found me?" The nurse handed her a report. "Daniel Cruz, address back of the yards." Miranda memorized the name. 3 days later, her black Mercedes pulled up in front of a building that looked like it was one strong wind from collapsing. The neighborhood smelled like fried food and quiet desperation. Kids kicked around a half-flat soccer ball in the street. Curious eyes tracked her car as she climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor. Unit 304. The door was chipped and scarred. Inside, she heard a terrible cough. She knocked 3 times. The door opened and Miranda's whole world stopped. The man was shirtless, drops of water still on his chest, but that wasn't what stopped her cold. It was the little girl in his arms fighting to breathe, her small face red with the effort. "What do you want?" Daniel asked, his voice tight, rocking his daughter. "I'm Miranda Sinclair. You helped me 3 days ago." Daniel's eyes hardened. "I don't need a thank you." He tried to shut the door, but Miranda put her hand against the wood. "Please, just 5 minutes." Daniel looked at his daughter, then at Miranda, sighed, and stepped aside. The apartment was smaller than Miranda's closet. A bed, a table, an old stove, but it was clean, tidy. Children's drawings covered the walls like wallpaper made of hope. "Sit here, sweetheart." Daniel set Lily on the bed and fitted a nebulizer mask over her face, the machine humming noisily. The little girl studied Miranda with wide, curious eyes. "You're a princess." Miranda looked down at her $3,000 coat and felt embarrassed, maybe for the first time in years. No, honey, just an ordinary woman. You lie really bad, Daniel muttered, pulling on a patched-up t-shirt. What do you want? Miranda pulled an envelope from her bag. I came to give you this, $5,000. Daniel didn't even touch it. It's not a reward. You saved. I said no. His voice was pure stone. Miranda watched the way his hands curled into fists, the tension in his jaw. Then, a job, she tried again. My family owns construction companies. I could. You think I'm some charity case? No, I just look around. Daniel spread his arms. I'm poor. I get it. But I don't need handouts from rich people trying to feel less guilty. Miranda felt the sting of his words, but she saw past the anger. She saw the eviction notice on the wall, the empty medicine bottles on the shelf, the way he checked on his daughter every 30 seconds. This man was drowning, and he was refusing the life raft. It's not charity, she said softly. You handed me back $50,000. In this city, people kill for $1,000. I'm allowed to be grateful. I didn't do anything special. I just did the right thing. Exactly why I need to talk to you. Miranda sat down uninvited in the only chair. Her hands were shaking. This was harder than she'd expected. That money I got back, it wasn't mine. Daniel froze. I stole it, Miranda continued, from my boss, Victor Kessler, a real estate developer who launders money for organized crime. Lily's labored breathing was the only sound in the silence that followed. And you stole his money? Daniel finally asked, his voice dangerously low. Not just money. Documents, a flash drive with bank transfers, fake contracts, names of city officials involved. I was on my way to hand it all over to the FBI when I collapsed. From stress, from no sleep, from terror, Miranda corrected herself. Because I knew that if Victor found out what I did, he'd kill me. Daniel dragged a hand through his hair. When he spoke, every word was ice. And you decided to bring that problem to my door? No, Victor doesn't know who found me. Nobody knows except the medical report, and you just parked a Mercedes in my neighborhood. You think nobody noticed? The blood drained from Miranda's face. I didn't think. Of course you didn't think. Daniel stepped closer, his presence filling the tiny room. You people never think. You play your dangerous games and we pay the price. Ms. Sinclair, that money you returned so proudly just put a target on my daughter's back. The question landed like a bullet. Miranda had no answer because he was right. I'm sorry, she whispered. You're right. I came because I felt guilty, and I only made things worse. She stood to leave. Daniel didn't stop her. But then Lily spoke, her voice muffled by the mask. Daddy, the lady's in trouble. Daniel closed his eyes. Yes, sweetheart. Like when those men came shouting about money. Kind of like that. We should help her. Like Mommy taught us. Miranda watched something crack behind Daniel's expression, something that looked like defeat and resignation tangled together. Your mama was too good for this cruel world, he said quietly. He turned to Miranda, the anger replaced by exhaustion. How dangerous is Victor Kessler? Very. He has ties to organized crime across 3 states. If he finds out someone has his evidence, he'll kill all of us. Daniel sat down on the edge of the bed next to his daughter. Lily rested her head on his shoulders, still breathing hard. Why'd you do it? He asked. Why risk everything like that? Miranda thought about her parents, about her fancy office, about all the times she'd looked away from ugly things because it was easier, because she was tired of being complicit, of waking up every day hating herself. I just wanted to be able to look in the mirror again. That's a nice speech, Daniel said flatly. But it doesn't give my daughter her safety back. I can protect you. I have resources, connections, private security. And when Kessler sends people after us, is your private security going to stop them? Miranda didn't have an answer for that either. I need you to leave, Daniel said finally. Before somebody else sees you here. Let me at least go. The word was final. Miranda walked down the stairs with shaking legs, feeling the neighborhood's eyes on her back the whole way. The Mercedes looked obscene on this street of poverty. She sat in the leather seat, and for the first time in 3 days, she cried. She'd come to thank the man who saved her life. Instead, she'd just wrecked his. Her phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello, Ms. Sinclair. This is Mr. Doyle, representing Mr. Victor Kessler." The world stopped. "How did you get this number? Mr. Kessler is concerned about your health. He understands you had an episode on the street. He wants to make sure you're all right." "I'm fine." "Wonderful. He's also concerned about certain documents that seem to have gone missing from his office. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?" Miranda gripped the phone until her knuckles went white. "I don't know what you're talking about." "What a shame. Mr. Kessler was hoping for your cooperation. It would be unfortunate if there were misunderstandings." The threat hung there unspoken. "That's all for now. Take care of yourself, Miss Sinclair. This city can be dangerous for a woman on her own." The call ended. Miranda looked up at the building where Daniel and Lily lived. 2 floors up, a curtain moved. Daniel had been watching, and she had just painted a target on his forehead. Meanwhile, in a downtown office on the 28th floor, Victor Kessler studied a map of the city. A red pin marked "Back of the Yards" near Riverside Park. "Find out who was in that area that morning," he told his assistant. "Somebody has my money and my documents, and when I find them—" He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. The hunt had begun. Miranda came back the next day. Daniel opened the door with Lily on his hip and a look that could freeze hell over. "Didn't hear the part where I told you to leave." "I hired security for your building," Miranda said without preamble. 2 guys, 12-hour shifts, discreet." "I didn't ask for that." "I know, but my conscience wouldn't let me sleep. If something happens to you because of me—" Daniel studied her face. Deep circles under her eyes. Today's outfit was less put together, her blouse wrinkled. "Where's the car?" "I left it 3 blocks away. Took a cab. 1 point for me, learning." "That security money could cover my rent for 6 months, Daniel said. "I know, but you'd turn down the cash. You can't turn down me protecting what I broke." Daniel couldn't argue with that logic. He sighed and opened the door wider. 5 minutes turned into 30, then an hour, then 3. Lily had decided Miranda was her new best friend. She showed her every toy, every drawing, every treasure in her small world. "Look, this is me and Daddy and Mommy in heaven," she said, pointing at a drawing taped to the wall. Miranda touched the image with something like reverence. A woman with dark hair and an enormous smile. "Your mommy was beautiful. Daddy says I look like her, but I want to look like Daddy because he's the strongest man in the world." Daniel felt the familiar knot rise in his throat. Lily kept talking, explaining something about school, but Miranda was watching him with a silent question. "Brain aneurysm," he said quietly. 2 years ago, no warning signs. One morning she was making breakfast and she just collapsed. "I'm sorry." Lily was 3. Old enough to remember her, not old enough to understand why she never came back. "And do you understand it?" Daniel laughed without humor. "Still don't. Grace was healthy, happy. We had plans, and in 1 second it was all gone." Miranda didn't offer any of the empty phrases about time healing or her being in a better place. She just nodded, and Daniel was grateful for that silence more than any words. "You have to stay for dinner," Lily announced. "Daddy makes the best mac and cheese in the whole world." "I don't think your dad wants—" "Yes, he does," Lily cut in with the absolute confidence only a 6-year-old can have. "Right, Daddy." Daniel looked at Miranda, her expensive coat, her perfect makeup, her whole world of luxury. "Boxed mac and cheese probably isn't on your diet." "I haven't had mac and cheese since—" Miranda stopped. "I don't even remember when." "Then you're staying," Daniel decided, surprising himself. The kitchen was too small for two adults. Their elbows kept bumping while Daniel stirred the pot and Miranda helped under strict instructions. Lily narrated the whole thing like a sportscaster. "Daddy's making his secret sauce. Nobody knows the ingredients except him. Ketchup, a little hot sauce, and extra cheese," Daniel revealed. "Big secret. Don't tell anyone, Daddy." Miranda laughed. The sound filled the tiny apartment like music. They ate, crammed around a table that wobbled every time someone leaned on it. It was simple food, and Miranda ate like she hadn't had a real home-cooked meal in years. Maybe she hadn't. "How'd you learn to cook like this?" she asked. "My grandma. She used to say a man who can't cook is a man who can't take care of himself. My parents used to say people who cook for themselves are people who can't afford someone to do it for them." The silence turned awkward. "Sounds like lovely people," Daniel said, dry as sandpaper. "They're successful people," Miranda corrected. "Built a real estate empire from nothing. 3 towers downtown, buildings in Miami, developments in Phoenix." She set down her fork. "And a granddaughter they've never met." "How'd you know that?" "Because you talk about them the way my clients talk about furniture. Proud of the object, not the person." "It's complicated. Rich people usually are." "You hate me for having money." Daniel considered the question while wiping sauce off his plate with a piece of bread. "I don't hate you. I just don't understand your world. People who have so much and feel so little." "Not all of us are like that. When's the last time you talked to your parents?" 6 months ago. They called to tell me my dress at their charity gala was inappropriate." "And you called them?" Miranda didn't answer. "Yeah," Daniel said gently. "That's what I thought." After dinner, Lily taught Miranda how to play a simple, matching card game with a worn-out deck. Miranda was terrible at it. "No, Miss Miranda, this one goes with this one." "You're right, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention." "That's because you're not paying attention," Lily diagnosed, with total seriousness. "Like when Daddy tries to help me with homework, but he's thinking about work." "Hey, I always pay attention," Daniel protested. "Uh-huh. Then what color is my new backpack?" Daniel opened his mouth, closed it. Miranda laughed. "It's pink with unicorns," she whispered. "Traitor." But Daniel was smiling, a real smile, one he hadn't used in weeks. When Lily finally fell asleep on the bed, Miranda was still sitting on the floor with the cards. "I should go," she said. But she didn't move. This was thank you. For what? Cheap food in a crummy apartment? Miranda looked at him with something like sadness. "Because in my 2,000-square-foot penthouse, I never felt what I felt here tonight." "And what did you feel?" "Like home." The words hung between them, heavy with meaning. Daniel cleared his throat. "I'll walk you to the door." In the hallway, Miranda paused. "Can I come back to check on the security detail?" "You show up in that Mercedes again, I'm running you off myself." "Cab, I promise." "Then, okay." Miranda made it 2 steps down before turning back. "You know, your wife was right. You are the strongest man in the world." She was gone before Daniel could answer. 3 days later, Daniel opened his door and found 6 grocery bags waiting, premium cuts of meat, imported fruit, Lily's asthma medication in an industrial-sized package, at least $1,000 of groceries. The anger was instant and white-hot. Miranda showed up an hour later with her warm smile, and Daniel was waiting for her in the hallway. "What is this?" He pointed at the bags. You thought what? That I'm some pet you need to feed?" "No, I just wanted to help." "I'm poor. I'm not pathetic." The words came out like knives. "I have pride. I have dignity. I am not your charity project to make yourself feel better." Miranda flinched, like she'd been struck. "Mr. Cruz Daniel, if you're going to treat me like a stranger, at least use my name." "Daniel." Miranda's voice rose. "I'm trying to help, because I feel guilty, because I put your daughter in danger, because you had 50,000 reasons to change your life and you chose not to." "Exactly. I chose. I chose not to be a thief. But you're choosing for me? Deciding what I need, what I deserve? Like I'm incapable of taking care of my own family. Because you're 2 days from getting evicted. The silence dropped like a bomb. How do you know that? Daniel asked, dangerously quiet. Miranda bit her lip. I saw the notice on your wall. So you saw something private and decided that gives you the right to pity me. It's not pity, it's what? Guilt, boredom, needing to feel useful? It's learning, Miranda shouted. My whole life I've been surrounded by people who compromise their values for money, for power, for convenience. And then I met someone who had enough cash in his hands to change his whole life, and he handed it back without thinking twice. Yeah, I thought about it. For 20 minutes I thought about it while my daughter watched me, but I did the right thing anyway. Daniel dragged a hand through his hair, frustration leaking out of every pore. And what now? I'm your inspiration? Your noble poor man example? You're my reminder that integrity isn't something you buy. It's who you are when nobody's watching. I've compromised mine for a lot less than $50,000. For a promotion, for approval, for not making waves. The raw honesty in her voice cooled some of Daniel's anger. He looked at the expensive groceries. It was stupid, Miranda said. You're right. I just wanted to do something. Anything. Daniel sighed. If you want to help, ask first. Treat me with respect. It doesn't make me less of a man to accept help. But it does make me less of one if that help comes with pity. I understand. I really do. Miranda lifted her chin. So I'm asking. Do you need help with rent? Yeah. Then I can help. As a loan. With a contract. Fair interest. Deal. They stood in the hallway while, somewhere below, a radio played country music. I'm sorry, Miranda said finally. I yelled too. You deserved to be yelled at. A small smile touched Daniel's lips. Maybe a little. Neither of them noticed the man in the parked car 3 buildings down, taking photos, logging the time, reporting back to his boss. Miss Sinclair visited the back of the yards again. Same building, Unit 304, resident Daniel Cruz. Construction worker. Young daughter. Victor Kessler read the message while sipping whiskey in his office. He smiled. Finally a thread to pull. The first time Miranda showed up in jeans and sneakers instead of heels, Lily applauded. Now you look like a normal person, Miranda. Lily? Daniel scolded, but he was smiling. What? It's true. Before she looked like a store mannequin. Miranda laughed, the sound more natural every time. Your daughter's not wrong. I looked ridiculous. 3 weeks had passed since the grocery incident. 3 weeks of Miranda showing up every couple of days with increasingly flimsy excuses about checking the security detail. 3 weeks of Daniel no longer asking himself why he kept opening the door. Today's the spring festival at school, Lily announced. You want to come, Miranda? Daniel jumped in before Miranda could answer. Miranda has work, sweetheart. Actually, Miranda said, biting her lip, I took the afternoon off. You took the afternoon off to watch a school play? That's pretty pathetic, isn't it? A little, but I can come. Daniel looked at his daughter, practically vibrating with excitement. If Lily wants you there, I want you there. I want you there. Roosevelt Elementary had chipped paint and broken benches, but the teachers had strung the courtyard with colorful streamers. Parents packed the plastic chairs while the kids waited their turn to perform. Miranda was the only woman there in designer clothes. The other mothers eyed her with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. Daniel saw her shrink under the stares. Ignore them, he murmured. They see someone different and assume things. They're assuming right. I don't belong here. You want to leave? Miranda looked toward the stage where Lily waited in her flower costume. I don't want to leave. Lily went third. She forgot half her lines, tripped over her costume, and sang completely off-key. It was perfect. Daniel clapped until his hands hurt. When he glanced at Miranda, she had tears in her eyes. You okay? My parents never came to my school plays, she said. There was always something more important. A meeting, a dinner, a deal. Their loss. I used to think it was because I wasn't good enough, that if I got better grades, won more awards, was more perfect they'd come. And the awards were never enough because the problem wasn't me. It was that they never learned how to be parents, only how to build empires. Daniel took her hand without thinking. Miranda laced her fingers through his. Neither of them said another word until Lily came running over, shouting, "Did you see Daddy? Did you see, Miranda, I was a flower?" "You were the best flower in the whole world," they both said at the same time. The evenings turned into a routine. Miranda would come by after work, and Daniel would teach her to cook. She was a disaster with a knife, burned the rice, mixed up the spices. "How did you survive 31 years without knowing how to cook?" Daniel asked, rescuing another pot. "Expensive restaurants and takeout. Sad way to live." "It was," Miranda admitted. "I didn't realize how sad until now." Daniel showed her how to chop an onion without crying, how to tell when the oil was hot enough. His hands guided hers, and neither of them mentioned the spark that shot through them at every touch. "Like this?" Miranda asked, kneading dough clumsily. "More pressure. Like this." Daniel put his hands over hers, the warmth of his body against her back, the smell of his cologne mixing with the food. Miranda turned her head, and their lips were inches apart. "Daniel?" The oven timer went off like a fire alarm. They both jumped back. "The beans," Daniel said, his voice rough. "Right, the beans." After that, they kept their distance in the kitchen. But in the evenings, when Lily picked a movie, they'd sit on the floor against the old couch a little closer each night, until Miranda's shoulder rested against Daniel's chest like it was the most natural thing in the world. "This is my favorite one," Lily announced, putting on the same animated movie for the 8th time. Halfway through, Lily fell asleep between them. Daniel carried her carefully to bed, kissed her forehead, and came back to the living room. Miranda was still on the floor. She'd paused the movie. "You want to keep watching it?" Daniel asked, sitting down closer than necessary. "I wasn't really paying attention anyway." "No? What were you thinking about?" Miranda turned to look at him. Her eyes caught the dim light. "How easy this would be. What would this?" And she kissed him. For one glorious second, Daniel kissed her back. Her lips were soft, tasted like coffee and promise. His hand came up to her cheek, and Miranda sighed against his mouth. Then the image of Grace on her deathbed exploded in his mind. Daniel pulled back like he'd been burned. "I can't. I'm sorry, Grace. It's only been 2 years. I still—" The words caught in his throat. Miranda got up off the floor, her cheeks flushed. "You're right. That was out of line. I got caught up in the moment. It wasn't out of line. It was perfect. That's exactly why it scares me." What Daniel dragged his hands through his hair, frustration radiating off him. "Grace was everything to me. My best friend, my wife, my daughter's mother. When she died, I swore that no one, nothing would ever take her place. And it's not just that. If I let go of missing her, if I stop feeling this constant ache, what's left? The pain is the only thing keeping me connected to her." Miranda stepped closer but didn't touch him. "Pain isn't love, Daniel. It's just pain." "I know, but it's all I have." "You have Lily. You have the happy memories. You have the love you shared. That doesn't disappear just because you let yourself be happy again." "And if I forget her, impossible. She's in every part of your daughter and the way you raise her with kindness and your integrity. Grace doesn't leave because you let yourself be happy." Daniel felt tears burn his eyes. "I don't know how to do this." "Do what?" "Feel something for someone else. I feel like I'm betraying her." Miranda finally touched his cheek, wiping away a tear with her thumb. "Grace loved you truly with everything she had. Do you think she'd want you to spend the rest of your life alone and miserable?" "No." "Then you're not betraying her by being happy. You're honoring her by living the life she doesn't get to. Daniel covered her hand with his. And you, why are you scared? Miranda laughed without humor. Because I've never felt this before. My parents have a marriage of convenience. My past relationships were transactional. Nobody's ever really seen me until I came here. You see me. I know, that's why it terrifies me. Because if I do this, if I let myself feel this and I lose you, I don't know if I'd survive it. Welcome to the club. They looked at each other in the silence, two broken people trying to figure out if together they could be whole. I'm not ready, Miranda said finally. Me neither, but I want to be. Me too. Miranda picked up her bag from the table. At the door, she paused. Daniel? Yeah. When you're ready, I'll still be here. She left, leaving Daniel alone with his tangled thoughts and the ghost of a kiss that shouldn't have felt so right. The next day, Miranda was at her office when her personal cell rang. Unknown number again. Ms. Sinclair. Who is this? Mr. Doyle. We spoke last week. Ice ran through her veins. I have nothing to discuss with you. What a shame. Mr. Kessler was hoping to reach an amicable agreement. He understands you may have misinterpreted certain financial transactions. He's willing to let the matter go if you return the missing documents. I don't know what documents you're talking about. Let's be adults, Ms. Sinclair. We both know you took evidence. We know you're planning to testify. This isn't going to end well for you. Is that a threat? It's a reality. Mr. Kessler has connections in government, in business, and other sectors. It would be very unfortunate if something happened to you, or to the people you care about. The world stopped. What did you say? Just that the city is dangerous. Accidents happen, especially in poor neighborhoods where security is limited. If anything happened to Daniel, or his daughter, Daniel, what an interesting name. I don't recall mentioning him. Miranda hung up, hands shaking. She immediately called her lawyer. I need witness protection, now. Miranda, calm down. What happened? Kessler knows about Daniel. He made a veiled threat. Her voice cracked. Her lawyer sighed. If you testify, this becomes permanent. It's not just temporary protection, it's changing your entire life. I know. Are you sure I crossed the line the moment I stole those documents? Now it's just a matter of finishing what I started. She hung up and stared out her office window. 32 floors below the city stretched out like a map of opportunity and danger. She was about to sacrifice everything, her career, her safety, her future. But when she thought about Daniel handing that money back, despite the personal cost, she knew there was no other choice. That night she showed up at Daniel's apartment with red-rimmed eyes. He opened the door and knew instantly something was wrong. What happened? Kessler's lawyer called, made threats, mentioned poor neighborhoods and accidents. The color drained from Daniel's face. He knows where we live. He didn't say it outright, but yes, and I said your name without thinking. I confirmed you matter to me. You told him I matter to you? I'm sorry, I ruined everything, again. Daniel pulled her inside and shut the door. For the first time, he saw real fear in her eyes. What are you going to do? Testify. It's the only way to end this. Once Kessler's arrested, if you testify, you're a permanent target. I know. And you're going to do it anyway. Miranda looked him straight in the eye. You gave back $50,000 because it was the right thing to do. I stole evidence because it was the right thing to do. Now I have to finish what I started. Daniel studied her face for a long moment, then took her hand. You're not doing this alone. You can't get more involved. You're already a target just for knowing me. Then I'm already involved. Besides, somebody's got to make sure you don't get yourself killed saving the world. That's not funny. It's not, but it's true. If you're going to do this, we do it together. Why, you barely know me. Daniel thought about Grace, about her last words, about taking care of Lily and being good. He thought about Lily asking if Miranda was family. He thought about a kiss that lasted 1 second and changed everything. Because I recognize somebody trying to do the right thing when I see it, and because if I let you face this alone, what kind of man does that make me? Miranda broke down and let herself fall against his chest. Daniel held her while she trembled, his own arms strong despite the fear. "We're going to get through this," he whispered into her hair. "I promise." Outside in a parked car, Kessler's watcher took another photo, a woman crying in a man's arms. Kessler received it on his phone minutes later. His smile was the smile of a shark scenting blood in the water. Daniel was welding beams on a job site downtown when his phone rang. "Mr. Cruz, this is Mrs. Alvarez, your neighbor." The terror in her voice made him drop the torch. "What happened?" "Some men came. They tore up your apartment. Lily saw everything and she can't breathe." "I took her to the hospital." The world went white. "I'm on my way." He sprinted off the job site while his boss shouted behind him. He didn't care. Nothing mattered except his daughter. The cab ride took 30 minutes that felt like 30 years. Every red light was torture. Every second, his imagination painted worse and worse scenarios. "Please," he prayed to a God he hadn't believed in since Grace died, "please don't take her from me too." The county hospital was chaos like always. People stacked in chairs, nurses running, the smell of disinfectant and desperation. "Lily Cruz," he shouted at the front desk. "My daughter, 6 years old, asthma attack. Pediatric ER, 2nd floor." Daniel took the stairs 3 at a time. His lungs burned, but he didn't stop. In the pediatric ER, Mrs. Alvarez was crying in the hallway. "Where is she?" Daniel demanded. "Inside. They won't let me in." Through the window, Daniel saw his daughter hooked up to machines, an oxygen mask covering her small face, her lips tinged blue. He lunged for the door, but a nurse stopped him. "Sir, the doctors are working." "That's my daughter. And if you go in, you'll be in the way. She needs to know I'm here, please. Lily." His shout carried through the glass. Lily's eyes opened. They searched, found her father. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She lifted her small hand to meet his through the glass. "I'm here, baby," he whispered, though she couldn't hear him. "Daddy's here." A doctor came out 10 minutes later. "Mr. Cruz, she's stable for now. Severe asthma attack triggered by acute stress. What happened?" Daniel looked at Mrs. Alvarez. She wiped her tears with her apron. "I was watching her while he was at work," she explained. 4 men showed up, asked about the rich woman who's been visiting. When I said I didn't know anything, they broke down the door. They didn't touch Lily, but she saw everything. Furniture smashed, clothes on the floor, dishes shattered. They yelled that it was a warning, that next time they wouldn't be so gentle. The rage was so intense, Daniel had to lean against the wall to stay standing. Did anyone see them? Everybody saw them. Nobody's going to do anything. You know how it is around here. Yeah, Daniel knew. In this neighborhood, getting mixed up with dangerous men meant becoming the next target. "Thank you for taking care of her, Mrs. Alvarez. She's a good girl. She didn't deserve this." The old woman left, leaving Daniel alone with his guilt. This was because of Miranda, because of that damned money, because he'd done the right thing, and doing the right thing had nearly gotten his daughter killed. "Mr. Cruz." Daniel turned. Miranda was running down the hallway, heels in her hand. "How'd you know?" "Mrs. Alvarez has my number. She called me right after she called you." "How's Lily?" "Stable for now." Miranda looked through the window at where Lily lay hooked to the machines. "This is my fault." "Yeah, it is." The word landed like a slap. Miranda staggered. "Daniel, you know what? You were right from the start. Rich people play dangerous games and we pay the price. My daughter is in there because you decided to play hero. It wasn't like that. Then why did 4 men tear up my house asking about you? Why did my 6-year-old have to watch violence that left her unable to breathe?" The tears ran freely down Miranda's face. "I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry." "Sorry doesn't put air back in her lungs." Daniel turned away, unable to look at her without wanting to shout more. Miranda stood frozen in the hallway. Then instead of leaving, she sat down on the floor against the wall. "What are you doing?" "Staying." "I don't want you here. I know, but I'm not leaving." "Miranda, you did this. You didn't walk away when you found that money, even though it could have changed your life. I did this. I'm not leaving so you can hate me. It's the least I deserve." Daniel didn't have the energy to argue. He sat in the plastic chair and put his face in his hands. Hours passed like that. Miranda on the floor, Daniel in his chair, neither speaking. Nurses came and went. Other families arrived, got news, left. Night fell over the hospital. At 10 o'clock, the doctor came out again. "You can go in. She's awake." Daniel went in first. Lily looked so small in the hospital bed, surrounded by white pillows. "Hi, Daddy." Her voice was hoarse, but it was there, alive, breathing. Daniel knelt beside the bed and kissed her forehead. "Hi, baby. How are you feeling?" "Tired." "Where's Miranda?" "Outside." "Is she mad at me?" The question broke something in Daniel's chest. "Why would she be mad at you?" "Because the bad men asked about her. If she didn't come visit us, they wouldn't have broken our stuff." "That's not your fault. And it's not Miranda's fault either." "Then whose fault is it? The bad men's? The unfair world's?" "Her own choice to get involved. Sometimes bad things happen, and it's nobody's fault. Daddy, you're really bad at lying." Despite everything, Daniel smiled. "Where'd you learn to be so smart?" "From Mommy. You said she was the smartest person in the world." The familiar knot tightened in his throat. Grace. If she were here, she'd know exactly what to say, how to help Lily understand without scaring her more. "Your mommy was special," he said finally. "Like you. You miss her every day." "Me too. But it's okay that you love Miranda too. Mommy wouldn't be mad." Daniel froze. "What? I see you look at her like in the movies, and she looks at you the same way. It's nice." The knot in his throat tightened further. "Lily Miranda's our family now." The question hung in the sterilized air of the hospital, heavy with impossible meaning. "Why do you ask that?" "Because family stays when things are bad. And Miranda's outside even after you yelled at her, Mrs. Alvarez told me." Daniel didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "You're too grown up for 6 years old." 7 and 3 months. "Do you still want to see Miranda?" Lily nodded, emphatic. Daniel went out and found Miranda exactly where he'd left her, sitting on the floor. "She wants to see you." Miranda stood on shaking legs. Her eyes were red, her makeup ruined. "Are you sure?" "She asked for you." They went in together. Lily lit up when she saw Miranda. "You came." "Of course I came, sweetheart. How are you?" "Better. The doctors say I can go home tomorrow, but Daddy says we don't have a home because the men broke it." Miranda looked at Daniel. He gave one nod. "Then you'll come stay with me," Miranda said, "until we get your place fixed." "In your princess house?" "In my regular apartment," Daniel cut in. "Daniel, please." "I said no." "Then where are you going to sleep? On the street?" "I'll figure something out." "Let me help. Please. After everything I caused." Daniel wanted to say no again, but Lily coughed and the sound cut through his pride like a blade. He had no other options. No money for a hotel. No family in the city. One night he gave in. "While I figure out something permanent." "Deal." Miranda took Lily's hand gently. "Does that sound okay, Lily, staying with me for a few days?" "Do you have a TV? A game console?" "No, but I could buy one." "Don't buy anything," Daniel warned. Miranda raised her hands in surrender. "I won't buy anything, I promise." They spent the night in the hospital. Lily finally slept, her small lungs working easier with the supplemental oxygen. Daniel and Miranda sat in chairs across from each other, the space between them full of things unsaid. "I shouldn't have yelled at you," Daniel said finally. "You had every right." "No. I was scared, and I took it out on you. I feel guilty." "If I hadn't..." If you hadn't done any of this, then Kessler would still be laundering money, organized crime would still be operating, and you'd be complicit. Miranda looked at him surprised. You're not angry anymore. Oh, I'm still furious. Just not at you. At Kessler, at the men who scared my daughter, at a world where doing the right thing puts you in danger. I don't know what to say. Don't say anything. Just don't leave. I'm not leaving tonight. In the dim of the hospital, with nothing but the beeping of machines for music, Daniel spoke. When Grace died, I thought I'd die too. The aneurysm was so fast. One morning she was making breakfast and the next second she was on the floor. By the time the ambulance got there, she was gone. You didn't have time to say goodbye, Miranda finished softly. No. And that kills me every single day. All the things I never said, all the times we fought over stupid stuff. If I'd known that morning was the last one, you'd have loved her just as fiercely. Miranda took his face in her hands. How do you know? Because I watch you with Lily. The way you look at her like she's the sun. Grace had that every single day. You didn't need a perfect goodbye because every moment was love. The tears Daniel had been holding back finally fell. I wasn't enough. I didn't save her, and I didn't save Lily this time either. Daniel, no, look at me. A brain aneurysm isn't your fault. Kessler's men aren't your fault. You're the strongest man I know, because you keep standing no matter what. I don't feel strong. Strength isn't never falling. It's getting back up every time you do, and you've gotten up every single day for 2 years for Lily. That's real strength. Daniel looked at her through his tears. Why are you still here after how I treated you? Because I'm falling in love with you, Miranda said simply. And when you love someone, you stay, even when they yell, even when it hurts. Miranda, you don't have to say. I just needed you to know. Daniel pressed his forehead against hers. I'm scared. Me too. I don't know how to do this. Love somebody again. Then we'll figure it out, together. They stayed like that until Dawn painted the hospital orange. When Lily woke up, she found them with their hands laced together. I knew it, she said with a triumphant smile. Miranda's family now. Neither adult corrected her. The courtroom smelled like old wood and decided fates. Miranda sat in the witness stand with her hands perfectly still in her lap. 2 years of corporate meetings had taught her how to hide fear, but under the table, her legs shook. In the third row, Daniel watched her with eyes that said, Breathe, I'm here. That was enough. Ms. Sinclair, the prosecutor began, can you describe for the court what you discovered in Mr. Kessler's offices? Miranda glanced toward where Victor sat in his $10,000 suit and Shark's smile. He winked at her, a threat disguised as familiarity. She didn't look away. I found records of fraudulent real estate transactions, properties bought through shell companies and sold at inflated prices, money laundered through offshore accounts. And how much money would you estimate? Hundreds of millions, possibly more. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. The judge banged his gavel. Do you have evidence to support these claims? The prosecutor presented the flash drive, the documents, and yes, the cash Daniel had returned, now marked as evidence, tagged with serial numbers traced directly to organized crime accounts. This cash, Miranda explained, was part of a payment I personally witnessed. $50,000 to a city official for approving fraudulent construction permits. Kessler's lawyers stood. Objection! The witness can't prove that money— I have photos, Miranda interrupted. Audio recordings, emails, it's all on the flash drive. The lawyers sat down. Kessler stopped smiling. The questioning lasted 4 hours. Miranda described every transaction, every suspicious meeting, every time she'd looked away from something dirty until she couldn't anymore. Why'd you wait so long to report this? The defense attorney asked during cross-examination. Because I was scared. Scared of what? Of dying. Mr. Kessler threatened me directly. He didn't need to say it outright. We all knew what happened to people who talked too much. They disappeared. Do you have proof of that? 3 former employees who questioned irregularities no longer work there. One moved to Canada suddenly. Another had an accident. The third simply vanished. Speculation, the attorney said. Pattern, Miranda corrected. When she finally stepped down, her legs could barely hold her. Daniel was waiting in the hallway. You were incredible. I feel like I'm going to throw up. That's valid, too. Miranda laughed despite herself. Now what? Now we wait. They didn't have to wait long. 2 days later, the judge issued an arrest warrant. Victor Kessler was handcuffed in his office while news cameras caught every second of it. The headlines exploded. Executive exposes money laundering ring. Whistleblower testimony brings down criminal empire. Miranda watched the news from Daniel's apartment, nausea rising. Her face was everywhere. Her name, her story. There was no more hiding. Her phone rang. Caller ID, Mom. 7 months since they'd last spoken. Hello, Miranda. You're finally picking up. Her mother's voice was polished ice. Hi, Mom. How are you? Embarrassed. Do you have any idea the damage you've caused? Victor Kessler was a criminal. Exposing him destroys our family's reputation. Our partners are asking if we're involved too. Investors are nervous. Your father had to cancel 3 contracts. Innocent people were getting hurt. Organized crime. I don't care about organized crime, her mother interrupted. I care that my daughter decided to be a martyr and drag us down with her. I did the right thing. You did the dramatic thing, like always. Looking for attention, creating a scandal. The words hurt more than Miranda expected. After everything, she still wanted her parents' approval. Your father agrees. Your father's too busy doing damage control to talk. You know we always knew you were weak. Your brother never would have been so foolish. I don't have a brother. Exactly, because you were always enough disappointment for one. The call ended. Miranda stared at the phone like it was a venomous snake. You okay? Daniel asked from the couch where Lily lay sleeping against his shoulder. My parents think I'm an embarrassment to the family. Said I was always a disappointment. Their loss. Daniel carefully laid Lily down on the makeshift bed they'd set up in the living room. Then he sat next to Miranda. When Grace died, her family blamed me. Said if I'd paid for a better hospital, private doctors, she'd still be alive. That's horrible. It was, but eventually I understood something. People who blame you for things outside your control don't get a say in your happiness. And if they're right, if I'm being selfish, doing this, selfish, you sacrificed your career, your safety, your whole life to stop criminals. That's the literal opposite of selfish. But my family isn't really family if they only want me when it's convenient. Miranda leaned against him, exhausted, down to her bones. I don't know what to do now. What do you want to do? Honestly, I don't want to go back to my old life. I don't want the cold penthouse or the empty corporate dinners. I don't want to wake up hating myself. And what do you want? Miranda looked around the small apartment. The walls still showed damage from Kessler's men. The furniture was cheap. The bathroom leaked. But Lily was sleeping peacefully. Daniel was looking at her like she mattered. Here felt real. I want to stay here, in this neighborhood. Start over. Daniel tensed. Miranda, poverty isn't romantic when it's permanent. It's not having enough food. It's choosing between medicine and the electric bill. It's watching your daughter suffer and not being able to help. I know, really I do. You can go back to your life of luxury whenever you want. I don't have that option. Miranda stood up facing him. I'm not playing, I'm choosing. You chose to give back $50,000. I'm choosing to walk away from potential millions for work that actually means something. It's different. Why? Because I'm rich, I can't want something more than money? You can want it. But wanting and living are different things. Then let me try. Let me prove I can be more than my bank account. Daniel studied her for a long moment. And if you fail? If you decide this is too hard, I won't fail. How do you know? Because I finally found something worth sacrificing for. The intensity in her eyes made clear she wasn't only talking about work. The silence stretched between them, thick with possibility. Miranda's phone rang again, unknown number. She answered cautiously. "Miss Sinclair, this is the district attorney's office. We have news about the informant reward." Miranda put it on speaker. "For your testimony and the evidence you provided, you qualify for compensation tied to a major arrest. There's also witness protection funding available. Altogether, we're looking at $250,000. Miranda looked at Daniel, her eyes widening. "That's all mine. Half is yours, half belongs to the citizen who protected the initial evidence." A rustle of papers. "Daniel Cruz." Daniel shook his head violently. "No, that money's hers." "Sir, the law is clear. You safeguarded material evidence. You're entitled to compensation." "I don't want compensation for doing the right thing." Miranda covered the phone. "Daniel, this money could change your life, Lily's life." "I don't need it." "Yes, you do. And it's not charity, it's justice. The system recognizing that your integrity had real value." "Please, let me help you. Not as charity, as what it is. Money you earned." Daniel closed his eyes, pride and need warring across his face. "How much is half?" $125,000, the voice on the phone said. "Enough for 6 months of rent, a year of medication tools to start a business." "Okay," he said, finally, his voice rough. "I'll take it." Miranda smiled through tears. "Thank you." "For what? You're the one who did everything. For finally letting me help." After sorting out the details with the DA's office, they hung up. "So," Miranda said, $125,000. What are you going to do with it?" Daniel sat down heavily. "Fix this place up, buy tools, maybe finally start that contracting business I always wanted." "Sounds perfect." "And what about your share? Find an apartment in this neighborhood, pay lawyers to keep myself off any crime family hit lists. Buy Lily a game console." "I said don't buy anything." "That was a joke." "Mostly?" Daniel laughed, and the sound filled the space with warmth. "This is crazy. A month ago, my whole life was falling apart. Now I have money possibilities and—" He stopped. "And?" Miranda pressed. "And someone who makes me believe I can be more than a survivor, that I can build something real." "Are we talking about the business or something else?" "Both." Miranda took his hand. "Then let's build it together." From the makeshift bed, Lily spoke without opening her eyes. "It's about time. I thought you two were never going to kiss again." Both adults burst out laughing, while the 7-year-old pretended to sleep with an enormous grin on her face. Outside in the real world, the problems didn't disappear. Kessler had connections. Organized crime doesn't forget. Miranda would be a permanent target. But tonight, in a damaged apartment in back of the yards, 3 people began to imagine a future that had seemed impossible just weeks earlier. A future built not on money or status, but on integrity, courage, and love, chosen in spite of the cost. 6 months later, Miranda woke up to the sound of Lily's singing off-key in the shower. "In 6 days I turned 7. 777. Miranda smiled against the pillow. The 2-bedroom apartment in back of the yards didn't have the view her old penthouse had, but it had something better. Real life happening in every corner. "Lily, the water!" Daniel shouted from the kitchen. "You're using all the hot water." "But I've got shampoo in my hair, then rinse fast." Miranda got up, pulling on the robe Lily had picked out for her, bright pink, covered in unicorns. Hideous. Perfect. In the kitchen, Daniel was making eggs, shirt half-buttoned. Miranda leaned against the doorframe, enjoying the view. "How long have you been up?" "An hour. I've got a client meeting at 9. That building on Halstead, if I land the contract, it's 3 months of guaranteed work." Miranda came over and finished buttoning his shirt. "You'll get it. You're the best. You're biased. I'm in love. It's different." Daniel kissed her quick but sweet before Lily could walk in and start narrating. "Morning to you, too. Morning. How'd you sleep? Terrible. Dreamed we lost the Ramirez case. You're not going to lose it, you're the best. Same conversation they'd had 100 times. Never got old. Lily appeared wrapped in a towel, hair dripping. She was 7 now, taller, stronger. Her inhalers still lived in her backpack, but the severe attacks were a distant memory. I present my project today. I know, sweetheart, Daniel said. I'm real proud of you. Are you going to cry? I don't cry easily. You cried when you showed Miranda my project, and when we practiced last night, Lily. And you'll probably cry today, too, at school. Miranda laughed from the table. Your daughter knows you too well. Our daughter. Daniel corrected automatically. The word still did something warm in Miranda's chest. They ate breakfast together at a table that was now big enough for 3. Daniel's apartment had expanded when the neighbor next door moved out and they rented the adjoining unit, knocking down the shared wall. Not a mansion, but home. Your parents coming today? Daniel asked, clearing plates. They're going to try. Mom's got a meeting, but Dad confirmed. Progress. Slow, but progress. In the years since Lily's birthday party, Miranda's parents had made gradual efforts, occasional phone calls, tense but civil, monthly lunches. Her father had even referred 2 clients to Daniel's business. Not close family, probably never would be. But they were trying, and that was more than Miranda had expected. My mom is making tamales for after, Daniel said. Said the whole family should celebrate, including your parents, especially your parents. Says they need to eat more and learn to enjoy life. Miranda nearly choked on her coffee. Your mom is my hero. She's terrifying is what she is. At 8, they left together. Daniel dropped Lily off at school before heading to the job site where his crew, 5 full-time employees, now was finishing a renovation downtown. Miranda took the train to her office where labor justice had just won its biggest case yet, reinstatement of 30 illegally fired workers plus full back pay. They split at the corner with quick kisses and promises to meet at the school at 2. Love you, Miranda said. Love you more. I love you both more than both of you, Lily shouted. It was routine now. Ordinary. Perfect. At 2 o'clock, the first-grade classroom was packed with anxious parents and ready cameras. Miranda's parents arrived together, her mother in casual clothes she'd clearly bought specifically for the occasion. Her father wore a sweater instead of a suit. Small steps. Daniel's mother arrived with 3 aunts, 2 cousins, and enough food to feed the whole school. Do you always bring a feast to school events? Miranda's mother asked, cautious. Family shares, Daniel's mother replied. You want a tamale? I suppose so. Pork or chicken? Oh, pork, please. It was a strange, stilted conversation, but it was conversation. The teacher called Lily to the front. She carried a large poster covered in photos and drawings. My project is about heroes, she began, her voice clear. The teacher said we could pick any hero, superheroes, famous people, or people we know. She revealed her poster. In the center was a photo of Daniel on his job site, grinning under a yellow hard hat and safety vest. This is my dad. He's my hero. Daniel felt his throat close up. Beside him, Miranda squeezed his hand. My dad is a hero because he does the right thing, even when it's hard. One time he found a lot of money on the street. Enough money to pay all our bills. But there was a sick lady who needed help. So he called an ambulance and gave the money back. The other parents murmured, impressed. We were real poor, Lily continued, without a hint of shame. We didn't have enough food sometimes. My medicine was expensive, but my dad helped the lady anyway. Lily, Daniel murmured, but Miranda shushed him. After that, we met Miranda. She was the sick lady, and now she's like my other mom, even though it's not official yet because Dad says they have to get married first, but I think they're going to get married soon because I saw a ring hidden in Dad's sock drawer. The room erupted in laughter. Daniel turned bright red. Miranda stared at him, eyes wide. "There's a ring in your sock drawer." "Lily's going to be the death of me," he whispered. "There's a ring in your sock drawer. We'll talk after." Up front, Lily kept going, oblivious to the chaos she'd caused. "My dad taught me that heroes don't wear capes. They wear hard hats and work hard and love their family. He taught me that being a good person matters more than being rich. And he taught me that family isn't just blood, it's people you choose to love." She pointed to another photo, the three of them laughing in Riverside Park. "This is my family. It's not perfect. Sometimes Dad burns breakfast, and Miranda can't sing, and I leave my shoes in weird places, but we love each other a lot. And that's what makes my dad a hero. He didn't save the whole world. He just saved one person. But that person saved another person, and that person saved us. And now we're a family." She finished with a dramatic bow while everyone applauded. Daniel was definitely not crying. Definitely not. He just had something in his eye. Both eyes. Possibly his whole face. Miranda wasn't helping either. She was sobbing openly. "A ring," she said between tears. "We are talking about that ring." Lily ruined the surprise. "I don't care. We are talking about that ring." After the presentations, while other kids showed off projects about firefighters and astronauts, the two families gathered outside. Miranda's father extended his hand to Daniel. "Good job raising that girl." "Thank you, sir. Eduardo." "You can call me Eduardo." It was small, but it meant everything. Miranda's mother hugged Lily, a stiff, awkward hug, but a hug nonetheless. "You were very brave up there." "Thanks, Grandma." The word hung in the air. Nobody had used it before. Miranda's mother blinked rapidly. "Yes, Grandma, I suppose I am." "Does that mean you'll give me birthday money? Because grandmas do that in the movies." "Lily," Daniel scolded, but Miranda's mother laughed, a real surprised laugh. "I suppose it does." They walked back to the neighborhood together, this strange group of people who should never have mixed but somehow worked. Halfway there, they passed Riverside Park, the same corner where it had all started. There on the sidewalk was a young woman crying beside a stroller. Her baby was crying too. She was digging frantically through her bag. "I lost my wallet," she said to nobody. "I had money for diapers for medicine." People walked past without stopping, eyes down, minds elsewhere. Daniel stopped. "Wait here," he told Miranda. He approached the woman. "Excuse me, are you okay?" She wiped her tears. "I lost my wallet. I need diapers for my baby, and I don't have—" Daniel pulled out his wallet and handed her $60. "Here, for the diapers. I can't accept this, please." "It's not charity. It's just helping out a neighbor." The woman took the money with trembling hands. "Thank you. God bless you." Daniel came back to his family. Lily was watching him with adoration. "See, Grandma," she said to Miranda's mother. "That's why he's a hero." "Yes," Miranda's mother said softly. "I see." They kept walking as the sun set over the city. This complicated city of extremes, where poverty and wealth lived side by side, where danger and beauty danced together. In this city, a man had chosen to do the right thing when it was hardest, and that choice had created ripples that changed lives, built a family, and proved that integrity was worth more than any amount of money. "Daddy," Lily said as they reached home, "is there really a ring?" "Lily Cruz, you are too smart for your own good." "So there is a ring, maybe. And are you going to marry Miranda?" "If she says yes." Lily turned to Miranda, eyes huge. "Are you going to say yes?" Miranda looked at Daniela's man who had saved her without even knowing it, who had taught her that worth isn't measured in bank accounts but in character, who had given her family when she hadn't known she needed one. "Yes," she said simply. "I'm definitely going to say yes." "I knew it," Lily jumped. "Wedding, I'm going to be the flower girl." "Nobody's proposed yet," Daniel pointed out. "Details." That night after Lily fell asleep, Daniel pulled the ring out of the sock drawer where it clearly wasn't a very good hiding spot. I know it's not what you're used to. It's perfect, Miranda interrupted, because it's from you. I haven't even asked you yet. Then ask. Daniel knelt in the living room of their two-bedroom apartment in back of the yards. Miranda Sinclair, you taught me it's never too late to choose who you want to be. You showed me that love isn't about replacing the past, it's about building a future. Will you marry me? Yes, 1,000 times yes. The ring fit perfectly. They kissed on that worn-out couch where they'd spent hundreds of nights planning futures and healing pasts. You know what, Miranda said. A year ago when I collapsed on that street, I thought my life was over, that I'd lost everything. And now I know I only lost the wrong things so I could find all the right ones. Cheesy. True, both. Outside, the city slept. Inside, a family built from ashes and brave decisions got ready for whatever came next. It wasn't a fairy tale. It was better. It was real.